What's up, everybody? Gordon here again with another Sunday short. Be sure to like, subscribe, tell a friend, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff that you already know all about on YouTube. But today I wanted to talk to you about something that I think is really relevant right now, and that's March Madness. So I think we all know what happened last night. If you don't, quick recap: Gonzaga, UCLA, last second, buzzer beater. Gonzaga's going to the national championship, okay? Whew, that's super exciting, which, by the way, the national championship is tomorrow. So be sure to tune in and watch that. But I started thinking, what makes March Madness so exciting? I looked over my Twitter feed, and it was just March Madness galore. Why? Allow me to kind of think about this for a second. But basically, my first thought was, okay, well, baseball has a lot of teams that play. They all go in to this tournament, and I realized that the biggest difference is in March Madness, it's all played out on the big stage, right? In baseball, you have these small tournaments that then go to other tournaments that then go to Omaha. And because of that nature, because of the way that it's set up, because it's so, spaced out and there's not a lot going on individually, you end up in a situation where you have a lot of these small teams that make it into these tournaments, but because they're not one and done, they're round robin, they're all this kind of stuff, because they're not one and done, these small teams have to compete. They have to win and win and win and win to even just make it to Omaha, which is a very, very difficult thing to do, especially because you have to think pitching comes into play, hitting comes into play. You've seen a hit, now we know, hey, this hitter has a big hole in the top of his swing, but basketball's not like that, right? Basketball, it's you versus that other team, one game, win or go home. In the words of Jimmy Valvano, survive and advance, right? And it's a really exciting deal. The tournament format initiated in 1939. They expanded it in 2011 to include the 4 play-in games, which I love. And I especially love it this year. And there's always somebody who's like, meh. But I want to point out, UCLA was in one of the 4 play-in games. They call them the first 4 games. And UCLA made it all the way to the Final Four. UCLA played Gonzaga and played them to the wire. And while UCLA may or may not be, your idea of an underdog, the University of Houston certainly is not your idea of, a team that is you expect to see in the Final Four, but they made it to the Final Four. And so I think that kind of speaks to what makes the tournament amazing. You look at it and you look at teams that won this year. Ohio beat Virginia. That's super exciting. You saw Oral Roberts win a couple games, big games. You saw Texas lose to Abilene Christian. You saw some of these really close games, and you saw some of these games where it was like, oh, this is a really close game, and then it maybe kind of got away towards the end. But you saw a lot of these really fun games. You saw Purdue lose to North Texas. You saw some really fun games that really spoke and fun. Syracuse made it all the way to the Sweet 16 before losing to Houston. So there's a lot of these games that the underdog wins, and not even just like by a couple. I'm not talking underdog by like a couple of spots. I'm talking like a pretty significant underdog here in some of these. Let's not forget UCLA won to get into the tournament, and they beat BYU, who's ranked number 6. I picked UCLA ahead of that over BYU. Then UCLA beat Abilene Christian, and then UCLA beat Alabama, and then they beat Michigan. My goodness gracious. Like, just the fact, like, this is a team that had to play in a tournament game to get into the tournament, as it were. So that is what makes this exciting. You get these mid-majors with the opportunity to make a splash, to make a change, to make a difference. University of Houston, hats off to the Cougs. They made it all the way to the Final Four. Huge, huge achievement. And here they are playing, with a chance to go to the national championship against Baylor, who was a number 1 ranked seed. Houston was a number 2 seed. Don't get me wrong. They certainly earned the right to be there. It shouldn't be a huge surprise to anybody. But the fact that a team who is not in one of the, major Power 5 conferences that we all kind of associate, they're not an ACC team. They weren't a Big 12 team. They were, all these things. And they're there. And Gonzaga. Gonzaga is not one of these huge teams. Now, Gonzaga is a really, really good basketball team. And nothing to take away from Gonzaga. And I want to make that very clear because Gonzaga, while they are, I believe, in the West Coast Conference, while they are in a smaller conference, which technically makes them a mid-major, they are a really good basketball program. And they've had a really good basketball program for a while. They are also on a historic run. Could be fun to watch. This Baylor-Gonzaga game tomorrow night I think is going to be huge. But we're going to wrap it up there. We're going to call this a Sunday Super Short. Happy Easter, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. Watch the game. Hit me below and let me know who you think is going to win. And if you see this after the national championship, who are you rooting for? I just got to know. I mean, honestly, I'm from Texas. Obviously, I'm a Tech guy. But I got to root for Gonzaga on this one. I want to see him go wire to wire. I want to see a number 1 seed win it. Baylor is a conference rival. Does that mean that I hate them? No, doesn't mean I hate them. I think we kind of went over this before. I don't hate anybody, really. But I certainly would like to see Gonzaga win one. I think they deserve it. I think Gonzaga's really worked hard to get to this point and not take anything away from Baylor. So I just hope for a good game, really. At the end of the day, I hope both teams have fun. But I hope it is a good game. So like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, tell a friend. Let me know what you think in the comments. Give me some ideas about where you're standing on this game. And what do you think about the final? What do you think about the tournament in general? Why do you think it's so great? So stay tuned. We'll see you again later this week. And have a great day, everybody.